In the heart of a bustling city, where honking taxis and hurried footsteps formed a relentless symphony, Marcus found solace at the corner of a quiet cafe. Tucked between a bookstore and a flower shop, the cafe was a haven of warm light and the soft hum of conversation. Marcus, a man in his early 30s with a thoughtful gaze and a habit of overthinking, leaned against a familiar brick wall. This was his spot, a place to pause, reflect, and wrestle with the world's constant changes. Marcus had grown up in a family where roles were clear-cut. His father, a stoic mechanic, taught him that a man's job was to fix things. Whether it was a leaky pipe, a broken chair, or a loved one's problems, Marcus was raised to step in, offer solutions, and guide others, especially women, back to the right path. He'd carried this belief into adulthood, applying it to his sister, his friends, and even strangers. But lately, the world seemed to demand a new perspective, and Marcus was beginning to question whether fixing was always the answer. Across from him at a small wooden table sat Aisha, his closest friend, sipping a steaming cup of chai. Her dark hair was pulled into a loose bun, and her eyes sparkled with a mix of determination and uncertainty. Aisha had recently moved into a tiny apartment a few blocks away, a space she affectionately called her canvas. It was a blank slate for her dreams, a place where she could paint her future without anyone else holding the brush. Last week, over a late-night coffee, she'd said something that lingered in Marcus's mind. "I need to figure things out my way, Marcus. I'm not asking you to solve my problems. Just be there and listen." Her words had hit him like a cold splash of water. At first, they stung, as if she were pushing him away or dismissing his care. But as he replayed the conversation, he saw the strength in her eyes, the quiet resolve in her voice. Aisha wasn't asking for less of his friendship. She was asking for a different kind. She didn't need a fixer. She needed a friend who trusted her to navigate her own path. For Marcus, this was a revelation, a shift in how he understood respect and support. That evening, as the cafe's fairy lights cast a golden glow, Aisha leaned forward, her hands wrapped around her mug. "I've been thinking about something big," she said, her voice steady but laced with excitement. "I want to open a small art gallery, a space for local artists, especially those who don't get a chance to shine. It's risky, but it feels right." Marcus's first instinct was to caution her. His mind raced with practical concerns. The competitive art market, the high cost of rent, the challenges of marketing a new business. He could already hear himself listing the potential pitfalls, offering advice on how to avoid them. It was what he'd always done: step in, analyze, fix. But as he looked at Aisha, her eyes bright with possibility, he paused. He closed his eyes for a moment, took a deep breath, and let the urge to fix slip away. "Tell me more," he said instead, his voice soft but genuine. "How are you making this happen?" Aisha's face lit up, her smile transforming the dim corner of the cafe. "I've been researching spaces," she began, her words tumbling out with enthusiasm. "There's a little storefront on Elm Street. Small, but it has these huge windows that let in natural light, perfect for displaying art. I've been talking to some artists I know from my painting classes, and they're excited to showcase their work. I'm thinking of calling it Canvas Collective, a place where everyone's story gets a chance to be seen." Marcus listened, nodding as she described her vision. He asked questions, not to challenge her, but to understand. "What kind of art are you focusing on?" he asked. "And how are you planning to get the word out?" His questions weren't directives. They were invitations for her to share more of her dream. Aisha's answers grew more animated, her hands gesturing as she described the vibrant murals and delicate sculptures she hoped to feature. As she spoke, Marcus felt a shift within himself. For the first time, he wasn't trying to steer her path or shield her from potential missteps. He was simply there, present, witnessing her passion and trusting her ability to make it real. It was a quieter role than he was used to, but it felt more meaningful. He was standing by her side, not in her way. The conversation stretched late into the evening, the cafe emptying around them. Aisha shared her fears too, the late nights she'd spent crunching numbers, the doubts about whether she could pull it off. "I'm scared it might fail," she admitted, her voice softer now. "But I need to try. I need to know I can build something of my own." Marcus nodded, resisting the urge to offer reassurances or solutions. Instead, he said, "I hear you. It's a big leap, but you got this fire in you. I can see it." His words were simple, but they carried a weight of trust that made Aisha's eyes glisten with gratitude. Over the next few weeks, Marcus watched Aisha's dream take shape. She signed a lease for the Elm Street storefront, painted the walls a crisp white, and began curating pieces from local artists. Marcus didn't offer to manage her budget or negotiate her contracts, though the thought crossed his mind. Instead, he showed up with coffee during her late-night planning sessions, listened to her ideas, and celebrated her small victories. When she hung the first painting in the gallery, a vivid abstract piece by a young artist named Lila, he was there, clapping alongside a small crowd of supporters. The opening night of Canvas Collective was a quiet triumph. The gallery buzzed with visitors, their voices mingling with soft jazz playing in the background. Aisha moved through the crowd, radiant in a simple green dress, introducing artists and sharing the stories behind their work. Marcus stood near the back, a proud smile on his face. He realized that his role as a friend wasn't about fixing or guiding. It was about trusting Aisha's strength and being a steady presence as she carved her own path. As the night wound down, Aisha found him by the brick wall outside the gallery, the city's lights reflecting in her eyes. "Thank you," she said, her voice warm, "for being here, for listening. It means more than you know." Marcus smiled, feeling a quiet pride. "You did this, Aisha. I'm just glad I got to watch it happen." The lesson Marcus learned in that quiet cafe corner was one he carried forward. Supporting someone didn't always mean offering solutions or stepping in the lead. Sometimes it meant stepping back, listening deeply and trusting their journey. It was a lesson in respect, not just for Aisha, but for anyone brave enough to chase their dreams. And in that bustling city at the corner of quiet respect, Marcus found a new way to be a friend.